Hello, Seth. How are you? I'm a little early. That's okay. I'll get those PDFs to you sometime today, okay? You have any questions about yesterday? Okay. Let me loosen up a little bit. Getting old. Or I am old. Okay, let's wait for a few other people to get in. We have Robert. Paul. Uh-oh. We're in trouble, guys. Okay, the table of time. Now, Seth and Paul do not have double beaters. So we're going to have a little bit of fun with the table of time. As you first learned it on the drum pad, understanding the quarter notes and making the transition to the quarter note triplets, to the eighth notes, to the eighth note triplets, sixteenths, the groupings of 5, groupings of 6, so on and so forth. Hey, Randy. All right, well, they're always recorded, Randy. And how are you? Hope everything is all well. All right, so we're going to work with the table of time. Now, the first thing you would like to do first is to loosen up a little bit before you sit down and blow your brains out. Make sure your hands are loose. Make sure you're allowing the stick to rebound the way it's supposed to. Don't prevent anything from happening naturally. Do not fight the laws of physics. So, the way I taught the table of time was on a drum pad and the snare drum, like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Sticks are getting in the way today, but that's okay. Anyway, now, one thing you want to challenge yourself to do, like I messed up on the 5s. Sticks got in the way. Bad sticks today. Okay, so let's do the table of time. This time, instead of using the right hand and left hand, let's substitute it. Bass drum is going to equal the right hand. So I'm going to play the first line instead of 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to hit 1, 2, 3, 4. Second line, instead of 1 and 2 and 4 and the bass drum is going to play it. The right hand part. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and same thing with the eighth notes. 1, 2, 3. Triplets. 1, 2, 3, 4. 16. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. Nah. 5s will give you a hard time. Hold on a second, guys. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then the 6s. It's a lot of bass drum work here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Let me do those 5s again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. Now here how I emphasize the first beat, or note rather, of the grouping. Okay? Except, you know, I play line 1, 2, and 3, all the same volume. 1, 2, 3, no accent. 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 1, 2. And the accent's going to come 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. It's a killer. So now you're taking it coordination-wise, instead of just playing on top, you're playing between the bass drum and the snare drum. Does anybody have any questions on it? How you doing, Robert? Anybody have any questions on that? Now, I just played the bass drum and the snare drum only. The next move, once you get that going on, okay, what you want to do is take the right hand and play the ride cymbal. Quarter notes. 1. I have to concentrate on this, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the... Those fives are giving me trouble today. But you get the idea. Any questions on that? You understand, it's a good exercise, especially the fives. It's really an odd one. And that'll help you play in 5/4 time as well. What I usually do is I'll just hang out after I get to the triplets. I'll go to the 16ths and groupings of 5. And that's why the fives are giving me trouble right now, because I didn't warm up. So what I'm usually doing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the 6s. You want to try the 7s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1. So on and so forth. No questions on that, correct? All right, for the double beater pedal, for the double bass drum players, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just instead of using your hands, you're using the bass drums. 1, 2. Hello. My son was playing the drums before, that's why. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and... Just a couple variables. Okay? Now, instead of using double beaters, instead of guys who don't have the double beaters, okay, use the hi-hat. All right? It's not easy, man. It's just a weird feeling. You know, when you've been playing the table time, working hard on it, just on one surface, now you start doing some limb exercises, well, have some problems, some issues. That it makes you aware of your weaknesses, so you strengthen your weaknesses, you work on them. What we're going to do, not now, but we're going to do the table of time. Like I always present it, where my bass drum is doing the quarter notes, my left foot is doing the eighth notes, my left hand is doing the eighth note triplets, and my right hand is doing the grouping of 4. And I maintain that limb exercise. Now we're going to shift it over where, say, the floor tom-tom is going to be the quarter note, the triplet will be the hi-hat, and the eighth notes will be with the bass drum. So, you know, we're going to get all kinds of different control issues here resolved. So whatever is, yeah, it is fun. Hello, Troy, how are you? We're working on a table of time, and I've taken it from one surface and played it with the double bass drums, or you can play it with, if you don't have double bass drums, play it with the hi-hat and a bass drum. And then I played it between the bass drum and the left hand against a straight ahead 1, 2, 3, 4 on the ride cymbal. And I'm playing the table time down with the bass drum and snare drum. And it's not easy. It is challenging, yes, but it takes you into that mental state where you have to focus very, very hard, and you're going to make a lot of mistakes. What I would recommend you doing is staying on line 1 for a period of time. I can't say a minute, 2 minutes, 10 minutes, but whatever you feel good with that line 1, go to line 2 and play line 2 for a period of time. Then go back to line 1. Then do line 2, line 1, line 2. You're feeling bold? Go to line 3. Play that for a few minutes. Then go back to 1, 2, and 3. Not just on one surface now. Double bass drums, hi-hat and bass drum, or bass drum and snare drum. You understand that, Seth and Troy and Randy and Paul and Robert? We all understand that? Well, there's an objective. Yeah, it's challenging. Yeah, it's fun. But man, what it's doing is giving you a stronger command of your limbs. You're telling your limbs, yo, you're doing this. And boom, you start to do it. Now, I can get really abstract with it, but I'm not. It's just, let's take a little bit at a time and just take it between the bass drum and the snare drum, using 1, 2, 3, 4 on the ride cymbal. You got it? Any questions with that? How many guys here do not have the table of time? Hey, old dog. How you doing? I was early, so that's okay. You didn't really miss a whole lot, except the table of time. So what we're going to do with the table of time, you learned the table of time, old dog, and I think it was Seth, and most of you guys, just on one surface. Hold on, let me get a drink. And that's cool, you got it down. You can use it a metronome. Okay? But now, let's expand upon it. You know, again, let me just go over a little bit. I'm going to do the table of time up to groupings of 6 on one surface, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Ah, you son of a... I went to line 3. Jeez, man, get your brain together, man. It's Monday. 1, 2, line 2, 4, 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 2, 3, 4 triplets. Okay, so that's the way you learned it, and you should be able to play that without a problem, like I just had. My mind goes elsewhere, not because I'm not focused, but I'm trying to go to the next step mentally while I'm doing this step. But that's okay. That's my thing that I need to straighten out, so it's nobody's fault. So you're doing it on one surface. Okay, now, what I would recommend is doing it between the bass drum and the snare drum. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 triplets. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice when I hit the 8th note triplet, I'm emphasizing the downbeat. I'm accenting the 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, that's between the snare drum and the bass drum. Like I said, you guys want to do the double beaters. You got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, Time for a new head on the bass drum, I'll tell you that. Okay, you get that idea? But what's really more, it's going to give you, everything that you do is going to do good for you. But the one weakness I could probably see everybody having is this one. Once you feel good with that, get this guy going on with it. 1, 2. I'm sorry. 4. 1. Again. 2. Triplets. 4. 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the, I was playing 2 and 4 with the left hand, but that's okay. There's a lot here, and I don't want to overwhelm too many people. You just got the table of time. What do you mean, Jimmy? Do you know how to do the table of time on one surface, or you just got the book? Now, I'm really going to start practicing a whole lot starting the end of the week. All right, because now most of my backlog of work is almost completed. So I'm going to sit down at the drum set for 3-4 hours a day in addition to teaching. All right, did you get that, old dog? Jimmy, what do you mean you just got the table of time? You're talking about just the book? With what? The Dave Stanek book or the Joe Morello's Master Studies? Which book are you talking about, Jim? What book, Jimmy? Master Studies? All right, I'll take it in a minute, Jimmy. I mean, Robert. What did you get, Master Studies or Dave Stanek's Mastering the Tables of Time? Which one did you get? Now, Robert, what are you confused about? All right, well, I ordered this morning a longer cord for my sound system to my metronomes. That's why I haven't been using the metronome. As soon as that comes in, we will be using something like, when we do a lesson like this, with the metronome, okay? Now, Robert, what is it that you don't understand? Line 4, wait, what is this? Oh, use all 4 limbs, okay. All right, now, for example, if I was playing quarter notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's line 1. Okay, so I'm going to play line 1 as 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that occupies my one limb. The second limb I'm going to use is the hi-hat. 3, wait, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, like this. I'm going to play triplets here. 1, that's line, well, I think that's 5. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to play 4 with my right hand on the floor tom-tom. So now I got 2 limbs going. The snare drum is doing 3, the floor tom-tom is doing 4. Now I need the 1, and I need the 1 and the 2. So the 1 is just on every count, like 1. So that's a combination of line 1, the 8th note triplets, and the 16th notes. Now I'm going to put line 3 with the hi-hat. Do you understand that one, Robert? That's what I mean by 4 limbs. And we're going to move them around. You know, I just assigned my bass drum to do the 1. Thank you, Jimmy. You know what we're going to do? I've been promising Dave to do a lesson on the table of time. I actually, you know, I adore Joe Morello, and he come out with the table of time the way he did, all right? From groupings of 1 to groupings of 12. Now, I like David Stanik's presentation a lot better, only because it gives me less work to write things out. How he puts it in the diamond. He starts with the ones, the twos, the threes, the fours, and it takes you all the way to the 12s, and he goes back down to the ones, and you go back up again, back and forth. And I really think that Dave is a brilliant drummer. I never actually heard him play live, but we've had many, many discussions, okay? And the man definitely has his shit together, not a problem. So as soon as I can, I will do Dave's book, something out of it, a few things out of it. And if you'd like to request something out of it other than the Table of Time, Jimmy, you can do that. Our new friend, Felipe Morola. Guy's got a set of hands on him, man. He must have had Joe Morello working for his money. Ha! God bless him. The guy's a hell of a nice guy. I did a video chat with him the other day, and he's living in San Francisco, and as soon as things open up, so we go out and gigging, he's on the road. When he definitely comes to New York City, he will be sitting here giving a lesson. And that I am looking very forward to, because this man is very technically supreme, really. Plus, other than that, his musicality. What do you think, Jim? And maybe we could work on Ron Hunt. Right, Jimmy? He friended me the other day. All right, does everybody understand the Table of Time, the way we're going to be doing it? First, get it down on one surface. And, you know, take your practicing time and utilize it right. So, for example, if I'm doing 1, 2, this is quarter notes, and I want to go 1, 2, next measure, 3, back to the quarter notes, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's helping you. So you want to do quarter note triplets. 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and 1 and the 2 and the back and forth from the bass drum. I mean, from the one surface to the bass drum and snare drum. That'll help you. What do we got, Jim? Let's see. Paul, you got it, Paul? Well, that's a pretty strong statement here. Yes, the best. No, I wouldn't say that. He's in his own place in this world. He's worked hard to get there. And the man does have a set of hands on him, without a doubt. And that I see all of Morello there, Morello's hand technique. He took it, went home, practiced the shit out of it, and man, he plays the hell out of it. I never heard him play in a live situation, which I will. Because when he comes here, and he's going to be in the city, he's going to do a lesson here. We're going to go to the city, and I'm going to watch him play, and maybe even sit in, and I'll film it. You got it, Paul. It's a little bit unusual, and it's not easy, because you're playing it between the limbs now. Now, we're going to work with the 4 limbs, but we're going to do, like the way I present it to you is, I do the 1 with the bass drum, I do the against 2 with the hi-hat, the 3 on the snare drum, and the 4 on the floor tom-tom. But we're going to move it around, okay? Like maybe we'll make 3 on the bass drum, 4 on the snare drum, 1 on the floor tom-tom. However I work it out with the sticking and the maneuverability. Now, anybody here have Joe Casadas' rhythmic patterns and rudimental patterns? Does anybody have those books? I'm going to do an 8th note triplet for you guys. And we're going to move clockwise and counterclockwise, or you could say from east to west, from west to east, however you want to refer to it as, okay? We'll start with the 8th note triplet. And I'm going to demonstrate, I can demonstrate it on all the drums. I have my floor tom-tom right now as a table, but that's okay. 8th note triplet. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, I'm going to do is I'm going to start here on the floor tom-tom. I'm going to go 1 and 2 and I'm not going to go blowing my brains out. I watched a video just recently with Daniel Glass. Daniel Glass is a heck of a drummer, man. And he's more known as, instead of his playing, which I disagree. The guy plays well. He really does. But he's more as a historic drummer, and he does all this research. And I don't know what his background is with Joe Casadas, but Joe Casadas is still alive, and he lives someplace in Pennsylvania. And a friend of mine, his name is Tim Herman, is good friends with Joe Casadas, but Joe Casadas is very old. And I'm trying to get Joe Casadas in here to do this lesson. But anyway, you see how I maneuvered the triplets? That's between the floor tom-tom and the snare drum. Now let me see what the questions are here. Hold on, guys. You don't have the book, that's okay. He sure is, Jimmy. You don't need the book. I'll write them out for you because we're not going to do the whole book. You know, there's figure eights that you're going to work with and all that. It's maneuverability around this drum set. It's just like we break down the paradiddle: down, up, tap, tap, down, up, tap, tap. There's a maneuver, and there's like figure eights going on the drum set. Now, we will get into that later. I just want to show you these 2 moves, or 3 moves. I'm doing 8th note triplets, okay? I'm starting with my right hand on the floor tom-tom, 1 and then I move over to the snare drum, 2 and which is left, right, left. And that opens up my right side, so I go back to 3 and with the floor tom-tom, and 4 and with the snare drum. So we're traveling from floor tom-tom to snare drum, and it's a simple process. It really is. 1, 2. You're going to get a lot of things in your way, so you got to maneuver so you feel loose. So we're taking it from the floor tom-tom to the snare drum. 1, 2. No accents if you don't want. Accent, 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 accent. And you can take that up as fast as you want. And I'm thinking of it now in 8th note triplets, which is 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the. I could think of it in 16ths. So on and so forth. So again, we're traveling from the floor tom-tom to the snare drum. So I could demonstrate it with all the toms I have set up now, but I don't want to. I'll do it maybe in a little bit. But we're going to take that same thing that we just did from the floor tom-tom to the snare drum, this time from the floor tom-tom to the small tom-tom. All right, so we're going to go back and forth from the floor tom-tom to the small tom-tom. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we're going to combine them. That's 1. We had 1 from the floor tom-tom to the snare. The second one was this floor tom-tom to the small tom-tom. Got it? Now, we're going to do 1 group of triplets, 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and between the floor tom-tom and the snare. Then we're going to go floor tom-tom to snare to small tom-tom for 1 measure. I'll do it slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. I did half measures there. Anyway, I happened to have the privilege of seeing Joe Casadas live at Carnegie Hall. And I must say, and I really mean this, I mean, there's guys that are lightning speed around a drum set. Even to today, they're lightning speed. But I want to tell you something. When I saw him play and him maneuver around the drum set from his books when he played, I have never, ever to this day seen anybody that fast. I mean, it takes a lot of work, a lot of work. But it's just not, I'm giving you some ideas. If you have two tom-toms on top, which is basically the norm, you go from the tom-toms to the tom-toms. Now I can go from the, if you have two small tom-toms, let's say, come on computer, this is tom-tom number 1, tom-tom number 2. I gotta tune these. So I'm gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now say I wanna go now from this tom-tom to this tom-tom. Any kind of combination. You see the maneuverability around the drum set? It's more like going to drum gym. You like that idea, huh? What idea is that? With the Pepe Morella? It's Morolla, I think, Jim. You like the idea of maneuvering around a drum set? How many guys here have 3 small toms? That sounds terrible. Oh, Lord, Lord. I gotta hide my drum keys. I can tell you right now. What idea do you like the best, dear Robert? Let me see. The idea of Beppe Morolla? You have 2 racks? Robert, how many racks do you have? Jimmy, how many do you have? Seth? Who else is in here? Whoever else is in here. I can't keep track of everything. There's Troy, Old Dog, Randy, Seth. How many do you have, Jim? Robert, how many do you have? Paul has 2. Okay, good. You like that. All right, you have 4. Okay, good. Jimmy has 1. All right, Jimmy, you stay out of this. I'm only kidding, Jimmy. 1 is cool. Not a problem. That's what I usually play with. You have 2 racks. So the norm actually is 2 racks. So with these exercises I'm going to give you, you're going to be limited to 4 drums as opposed to 5 drums. 4 drums, they're small, snare, floor tom-tom, and bass drum. So now you have an additional one. I like this one. I'm too lazy. For the guys who have the 4, I mean the 3 rack tom-toms, you know, if I started, it's very physical, this exercise. If I started here, and say I want to go to this guy, so I got, and that right cymbal's got to move. I'm so used to playing with that, just the 1 tom. And I said this up, I have to sit and practice with this set. It actually does make a difference. Okay, so I'm going to write some of that stuff out for you if you don't have the books. Joe Quesada's Rudimental Swing and Rhythmatic Swing. If you want to purchase it, fine. Go through Mike's site, Maps Products, and it'll take you right to Hudson Music. If you don't, we're not going to, we can work out of the book a whole lot, but it's not necessary to purchase it. I'll just explain it, and I'll write out some of these PDFs. I'll write these in PDFs for you, okay? Now, this is going to be directed at everybody, actually, but especially to Seth. Sorry to pick on you today, Seth. Now, what we did, we worked on the 8th note triplet. By itself is 1, 2, 3, 4. Simple. So now we're going to work, that's the first clean triplet, no accents. All the 8th note triplets are sounding the same. So now I want to tag an accent on the count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, like this. Now I'm demonstrating with my right hand, but the way I recommend you practicing it is do 4 measures with the right, 4 measures with the left. Let me do that again with the accent on the first stroke. 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, and back to the right. Right. Now the next movement from this thing of, I'm going to write it out and send it to everybody. We're going to move or permutate, whatever you want to call the intellectual nonsense. I shouldn't say nonsense. You're going to move the accent, instead of on the downbeat of the triplet, we're going to move it to the second beat of the triplet like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so that's 2 movements. The 8th note triplet with the accent on the first note of the triplet. Then the second one is the second note of the triplet. Now the third note of the triplet. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's 3. The fourth one, you go from measure to measure, 1 measure with the right. This time, you're gonna, for this particular exercise, the first downbeat is 1 and the. The second beat, the accent's on the and of the triplet. 2 and. The third one, 3 and then 4 is clean. I could have reversed it, but I'd rather do it like that. You do 1 measure or 4 measures or whatever you feel good about with the right hand, and then you do it with the left. Now the remainder of the lesson, what I'm going to do is leave it open. And when I say open, shoot guys, questions. What would you like me to work with? Yori, how are you? You're not being picked on, Seth. You're being loved by everybody here. That's what you're doing. Yori, you're supposed to email me. Why did you not email me? Okay, everybody, get them. So I need some questions. Okay? I've given enough new work. I don't want to just keep sitting here and doing new stuff, and you don't have enough time to work on everything. So I'm lightening up on that, but I really would like some questions at this point, or some requests. There's nothing wrong with saying, can you go over this or review this, just to make sure you're doing it like you're supposed to do it. And that also, when you do a question like that, that helps everybody else, because everybody's too shy. Unbelievable. So, no questions? No requests? Maybe we should start working on some rock patterns or some funk. Like I said before, this is an instructional program. It's designed to help and break things down. It's not a performance platform where I have to sit here and show you how fast I can do and say, eat your heart out and go home and practice. That's ridiculous. The paradiddle diddle. I don't remember doing the turnarounds on a paradiddle diddle. Maybe on a double paradiddle. Let me try that out. How am I going to do a turnaround? If you're going to do turnarounds with a group using the paradiddle diddle, first I have to start with the groupings of 6 from the table of time. which I count 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so R becomes 1 and 2 and 3 and. L becomes with the left hand. So now it really takes effect. It takes effect on 1 and 2 because you're making a transition from the line. But you'll see it definitely with line 3. So line 3, the first right would be 1 and 2 and 3 and. The second right would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Now, that's not really a turnaround. And then I'm starting with the left. 1 and 2 and. It doesn't really work with the paradiddle diddle. The double paradiddle. Let me research that. If I come up with something, I'll let all you guys know. But that was a good one, Robert. About the paradiddle diddle turnarounds. Maybe the double paradiddle. Not the paradiddle diddle. How would you make a turnaround? Because you're going to want, if you're starting with the right, yeah, I get it. The paradiddle diddle would be right, left, left, and I want to go to the change. It'd have to be with the left, and that's defeating the purpose. I don't remember saying that, and if I did, I apologize. All right, let me do some. Well, a regular paradiddle, I had the formula as R equals 1E and L equals left E and. So you're making a transition from, say, right hand lead. So I make the transition to make the change for the next hand that's going to be leading. So line 3, I'd have 2 rights, 2 lefts. I'd have 1E and then 2E. Now I'm in position now to attack my left hand single. And 4E back to the right. Left, left. That's a single paradiddle, and I could do it with the double paradiddle. I don't remember mentioning the paradiddle diddle. I really don't. Now, I did do the turnarounds on the drum set. That's on one surface. If I'm doing line 3, for example, get out of here. Line 3, 1E and 2E and. You see that? Maybe that's what you're referring to. I gotta change this around a little bit. It's getting in my way. It's annoying me. And I can't use my ride the way I want. That's the single paradiddle. You want me to do that on one surface, or you want me to do that on multiple surfaces, Robert? See, the stronger you get something like that on one surface, it's really easy to maneuver it around the drum set. Whether you go from east to west or from south to north or whatever you want to call it. No, you're not confused, Robert. You just have a strong passion for knowledge. That's not being confused. Okay, guys, any more questions? Jeez. 45 minutes already. Mercy. Okay, are you sure you emailed me? Do it again. Jimmy, put my email in there for me, please, sir. Thank you. Recently I've been getting some email from some characters trying to get over on me. Well, you got to get up a couple years before me to get over on me. That's for sure. What I'm getting to is they email me, they want to buy the stick control book formulas or the syncopation formulas. Can I give them some examples? I've done it a few times, but I don't hear anything from them. All right. Then I said, nope, I'm not going to do that. So I make a video and send them the video. And I explain to them they have to come here to ask the questions, and I will give them insight. Thanks, Jimmy. Well, we're going to work on a table of time, plus the triplets, plus the maneuvering around the drum set. And I haven't really decided what we're going to work on. But we'll work on the turnarounds, too, for not only Bob's benefit, but for everybody's benefit. Because I've always said that I wanted to do a turnaround lesson on the drum set as opposed to one surface. How's that sound, Seth? You do know what I mean by turnarounds, correct? And I really need to get off. I hope you guys don't mind. And I'm going to be a little early tonight, so if you guys want to come early, do that. The lesson's at 7. Try to get here for 6:45. I'll come up. If I come early, I can spend some time with you. Okay, with all that being said, guys, have a great afternoon, the rest of the day. And if you have any questions about what we did just now, please email me, and I got to start working on some PDFs. Okay, guys? No questions, all questions are valuable. Okay, we'll see everybody later on.